And there's a used condom on top of my bread in my bag. But I think we're gonna have to end things because you started clapping when the plane landed, and I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore. I'm sorry.
Bar smashes. Cop car stops. 3 cops get out. Two male cops and a female cop, and they throw us all onto the wall. So I'm now like, fuck. Listen, Lucy, we have to break up.
Why?
Because, well, you thought that Nepal was a body part.
What? That's such a good one. I love that.
Hello and welcome to Two Beers Till Takeoff, the podcast inspired by conversations overheard at the airport bar. Join Phil as he grabs a couple of beers and chats with interesting people from around the world, sharing expert knowledge and hilarious stories that you won't find in your guidebook. So pull up a stool and get ready for an adventure as we explore worlds of travel and beyond with Two Beers Till Takeoff.
4 hours in a Taliban headquarters.
I had dog meat in Laos.
Was it golden retriever?
Smack a dirty old smooch on our beautiful fish right here.
He didn't die, but he fell down the side of the mountain.
Hello and welcome to Happy Hour. My name is Phil, and today we're gonna have tons of fun on this pre-Valentine's Day episode. At the end of the episode, my guests and I are going to be doing a top 5 best excuses to break up with someone. So if you're planning on dumping your significant other right before V-Day, stay tuned. We get it. Flowers are fucking expensive, man.
Flowers are so expensive. Don't even start. Oh my God. For what though? Like, for what reason?
Let's meet our guest. She's backed by popular demand. Her episode having the most downloads this past year. You may remember her coming on to tell the wild story of accidentally walking through a landmine field on the Vietnam-China border. Now she's back to update us on her travels and leave us with a hilarious story. Welcome back to the show, Lucy.
Hello, thank you for having me again, Phil. I had no idea that my episode was the most downloaded. That's amazing. I did not know that.
Most downloaded. People love you.
It's a great story. The one that I told about the China landmine border story. It's a great story, and I'm hoping that this story will be equally as good. I can't wait to tell it. It's hilarious. But thank you for having me back.
Yeah, so what's going on with you? What's going on? Just having some sangria?
Yeah, literally. And I've got ice in it now. I feel like I'm having sangria, which usually is enjoyed like in the sun in Spain, and I'm like sat in England in February. It's not really the same, but we're gonna pretend that I'm somewhere hot. It's fine. But what's going on with you? Oh my God, it's been, you know what? It's literally been like the craziest 6 months. I think this is the first time in probably even longer than 6 months I've just had time to be bored. I think like Jan, Feb, I've been home. I've been kind of having a sort out of everything. I've like been chucking loads of things out that I've not. And it's so boring, but it's been such an amazing 6 months, and it's going to be so busy again. But I've been all over. Like I was working in Finland over Christmas in Lapland, which was like incredible, and so many people have messaged me about that. Like the company I work for, I kept joking that they're gonna have so many people apply because everyone's like, "Yep, I'm applying, I'm doing it," and I'm like, "Damn, they need to be paying me for this because I've got them so many people that are gonna." Do
you guys have like a commission program or something?
They need to have one. Apparently, if you refer a friend, so I'm going to say to everyone, put my name down as a referral. But I feel like if everyone from TikTok sees it, there might be a lot, and I doubt they're going to be like, yeah, we'll pay you all that money. So we'll see. But I'm going to try it.
Can you tell maybe the people that don't follow you yet on TikTok a bit about that experience, because your followers obviously got to see the great stuff that happened in Lapland. Can you maybe explain what Lapland is and what that experience was like?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lapland, because I know a lot of people actually ask me where it was, and I know because it can be, I wasn't actually 100% sure. So Lapland is a region in the north of Finland, Norway and Sweden, and a bit of Russia as well, I want to say. That might be wrong, don't quote me on that. But and it's it's all in the Arctic Circle pretty much, most of it is, and it's freezing. So up there, supposedly in Lapland is where Santa Claus lives. So there's
supposedly?
a town. Well, I've never seen him.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've never met him. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Some people found it. No, it was a great job. Supposedly, though, you just have to find him. That's the whole point, is the search.
I thought he was in North America. I thought that he lived in North American malls.
Yeah, that is rumored too. I've never been, so I don't know. Like, you know, North American malls. There's a lot. He gets around.
He does,
I
yeah.
see him
He's magic.
And then I know. There you go. Oh my god, yeah. So Lapland, it was incredible. So I worked there for 6 weeks, from mid-November till end of December. So I worked over Christmas, and essentially my job was, there are loads of jobs you can do out there, but I work for a British company that does like holidays out there, 2 to 3 day holidays. It's usually people from the UK that fly out there, because they'll fly loads of people out from all around the UK, and there's loads of resorts, but the one I was working for was a British company. And my job was, I was a ranger, so there were different jobs. There was like a rep, a hotel rep, a ranger, drivers, and my job essentially was to just sing, dance, tell jokes, and literally bring the Christmas spirit. Okay, maybe not dancing, but I can't really dance.
That's considered keeping yourself warm, right?
Exact. Yeah. Exact. That was my job. So my job was, I had three main roles. Like, one of them was picking people up from the airport, welcoming them, and then I had told my Christmas jokes, which was, I have a lot of Christmas jokes. So if you're ever in need of some, I've got so many I could tell you. It's hilarious, but I find them funny, and the fact that I still find them funny. Like, after telling them for 6 weeks, I'm like, this is a good one.
Cracking yourself up.
So, honestly, right? I'll tell you one out. Okay. How much did Santa's sleigh cost him?
Don't know.
Nothing. It was on the house. I'm glad you I love that one. I love that one.
Some great dad jokes.
Exactly. And you know what? It was great. It was always great. Like, some of the coaches, it was always, I'm from London, but I hate to say it, the people from London were always like the grumpiest, but the Northerners love it. And I made a joke once on my coach, because the airport was so small. When you drop them off, you had to kind of wait outside for a little bit and entertain your coach. And I made a joke sort of saying, oh, if you've had a good time, and you leave a review, my name's Lucy, and you have to have Christmas names. So I was Lapland Lucy. I'm Lapland Lucy. And I just sort of made a joke. It was one of the last days, and I was like, but if you didn't have a good time, my name's Steve. And then my whole coach, they started calling me Steve. They were going, Steve. I was like, what is going on? Like, I was like, oh, I'm just going to go into... Yeah. I was like, what?
Shit, what did I do here?
I was like, shit, like I fucked up. But they were loving it. And I was like, I'm just going to see if check-in's ready for us. And they were like, go on, Steve. It was brilliant. It was great. But
who visits Lapland? The British, like the is it like stag do's or something?
No. I think it's because there was like this one bald guy at the front that was like, yeah, geezer, and he was leading the Steve chants. So I just think everyone joined in. It's mostly families. And oh my god, this is just we've not even got like just the coach journeys, right? Sometimes if I was waiting for a long time, I'd get the kids to tell jokes, or we play Christmas Would You Rather, like, would you rather have tinsel for hair, or like, I don't know, baubles for eyes or something. And then I ran out of Would You Rathers, and we'd been waiting like half an hour. So I was like, oh, kids, like, do you have any? And some of them came up with some really good ones. And then this kid at the front goes, oh, I've got one. And I'm like, yeah, like, what's your one? Because they'd say it, and then I'd say it out loud. And I struggled. He goes, would you rather ride a reindeer or ride Santa Claus? And I just stood at the front. All the adults started laughing. I just stood at the front like... I was like, I can't repeat that. I was like, I can't repeat that. That's awful.
Hey, when in Rome, right? You just gotta fucking say it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my god. I was just like, oh, I think we'll move on from that one. But it was so funny. And then a lot of my other jobs were like, I'd work outside a lot of the time. So I was working in like -25 conditions kind of thing. And that was really fun though. I was like singing a lot of songs, keeping the Christmas spirit up. And it was just like, it was incredible, to be honest with you. Just the whole job was just brilliant. Like,
nice.
I can't recommend it enough.
And you were to Finland during this time, correct?
Yes, Finland. So
Right.
I know there's resorts like in Norway, Sweden, but the one I worked in was in Finland. Yeah.
So did you get to interact at all with Finns Did you get to take in some of that Finnish culture at all? Sauna culture?
I know, yeah, I know. It's a really good question because I was a bit like, most of the staff are British, most of the guests are British. I was like, is this just going to be like a British town? But luckily, there was like really local pub, and they do like quiz nights and karaoke, and it was so funny because you just get a night of karaoke, and it'd be a mix of like us Brits, the Finnish locals that were like 60 and would do like ballads, but everyone would get into it. It was great. And then there were like some other staff that were a lot more like European. I know I'm European, but like not British. So then they were doing different songs, and then we were coming in doing like Sweet Caroline, all these songs. But the Finnish people there were lovely. Like a lot of the staff that work at some of the activities. And what was really cool as well is like the traditional people that have lived there for hundreds of years are the Sami people.
And Sami, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so interesting because I had a chance to one of the shifts, like the outside shifts, because you do different things every day, which is why it was really cool. But one of them was working at the reindeer ride, where you'd like have a little sleigh ride with the reindeer, and the people that ran that were this guy called Simon and his reindeer, and he was Sami, and it was so interesting just chatting to him, like, and he was telling us all about the traditional dress they wear, like what each symbol means, like their traditions, what languages they speak, how the dialects vary. It was so interesting because it's so different. It's cultures that have gone on for ages, and they sort of transcend the boundaries of Norway, Russia, Sweden, all of that. It's all of like Lapland, and obviously there's different sort of communities within that, but they see themselves as it's so interesting, like just to,
because they're the indigenous people of that region, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just incredible kind of learning about it, and you just have to laugh. Like one of the Sami guys, he had like a traditional hat on at work, and then he came to the pub later on, and he had a heart that said "I heart 69" on his hat, and we were like, "Where's the traditional hat gone?" And he was like, "This is my hat." And we were like, "No, your other hat." He's like, "No, this hat.
Is my Takashi 69 hat."
And we're like, "Oh, okay." Okay. Yeah, so you did get to interact with like local people. It's amazing.
Nice. So I think where we kind of left you off, you were just about to go volunteering in Montenegro. I believe you were working at a hostel. What was that experience like? Because I'd been to Montenegro a few years before, and I kind of knew some of the places you were going, and I was really excited to kind of get you back to find out how you liked it.
Yeah, because I remember we spoke about that before, because you were telling me you'd done Croatia, right? Or you were going to Croatia?
Yep. We did Croatia, we did Montenegro, and then we didn't have enough time to finish and do Albania as well. But
Albania is amazing. But Montenegro, I love Croatia, love Montenegro, because I only did a week in Croatia, and I loved it. It was quite expensive. But I guess I was in quite touristy areas, so I think it depends. But Montenegro was amazing. So I had such a long travel day on the day that I got there. And you get those travel days where like not everything's gone to plan. You arrive somewhere and you just kind of want to go home. Like I got there and I was like, it was nothing against a hostel or anything. I just got there and I was like, I don't want to be here. I've had like such a long day. But you can't think like that, because you just have to get into it. And I was like, I know I'll feel better tomorrow. And I did. And I ended up loving it. Like it was the most chilled, laid back hostel I've ever been to. In the sense that like, I looked at the reviews of like people that had worked there and versus the people that had stayed there. And the people that stayed there were like, yeah, it's a nice vibe, like not cleanest, almost up to date hostel, but it's nice. And the staff were like raving about it. They were like, it's amazing. Like, the managers will make sure you have the best time. And I was like, that's what I want. I was like, because you can stay at nice hostel, you can work at a really nice hostel, but doesn't mean they're nice to their staff. And this hostel is like kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Which area was it?
It was in Bar in Montenegro. But
okay,
yeah.
Nice. What a great name for a city, yeah?
Yeah, with no
town.
Bars. Yeah, there's like no bars there though. That's the funny thing. There's like one bar. It's hilarious. We went around for ages trying to find a bar in Bar, but this hostel was genuinely, at one point there were more volunteers than guests, and but they just took on all the volunteers. Like if you apply, they'll say yes, because they want you to have a good time. And like they were so flexible as well. Like I was there for 2 weeks and I was supposed to work I think 5 days a week. I ended up doing about 4 or 5 shifts in total. Like, it was so chill. The manager was just like, look, if you want to go explore, just let me know. If you don't want to work one of the days, you can just work another one. I mean, one of the nights we ended up, because it was quite a small hostel and the hostel cat was so cute, but one of the nights we ended up just like having drinks with the hostel manager and the owner and all the staff, and then we stayed up quite late because we've stayed in, but we stayed up quite late, and I went to bed at 3, and my manager went to bed at like 5, and he put the shifts in for the next day at 5 a.m. and I was already in bed. Like, I was asleep, and I woke up at I think 10 a.m. and I saw that I was supposed to be on the 8 a.m. shift, and I was like, yeah, no, I was like, well, I'll get up and go to work for the last hour. So I did an hour of work. And then I saw my manager. I was like, you know, I was asleep, right? Like, you know, you sent that at 5 a.m. There was no way I was getting up. Like, I didn't see it. I didn't know. And he was like, yeah, it's chill. Like, don't worry. I was like, okay.
Welcome to Eastern Europe, man. Who cares?
Literally, he was like, yeah, who cares? Like, it's chill. I was like, all right, whatever. Like, it was such a good experience. And one of the girls I met, she's from Mexico. One of the girls I met, she actually ended up traveling with me to Albania, and she was just like so much fun. She's invited me to see her. I'm heading to Mexico in a few months, and I'm going to meet up with her in Mexico City. And she's like, I'm going to give you the tour. So she was great, and it's like I met some great people there as well. So 100% would recommend volunteering in a hostel. It was so good.
Nice. Before we get to Albania, I want to talk about something that you're doing now. You're offering a service online. You're using your platform to start getting some sponsorship, I've noticed, which is awesome. Congratulations on that. You're now offering a service to people that are looking to do, or you're offering consultations. And can you maybe give us a bit more information about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I get a lot of DMs with people with travel questions, and like I try and answer as many as I can, and sometimes I'm like, oh, like I want to give long answers, so sometimes I'll give like voice notes, but some people have like a lot of questions and want to talk through their trip, and like even if they have questions about backpacking or solo traveling or where to start or anything like that, I've started doing one-to-one calls, so you can DM me if you've got like a quick question, but a lot of people want to have like a full-on chat, go through their plans, and kind of like get my opinions and take on it. And I'm now doing one-to-one calls, so you can jump on a half-hour call with me, and I'll get you to like send my itinerary. I get people to send their itinerary or their ideas or what they're sort of thinking of before, so I can help them and have like a bit more of an idea, get my notes up, and as well, after the calls, I send them my routes, my recommendations, where I don't recommend going, which is kind of around, but I send them like a good condensed list as well, just so then they've got that. I've only done a couple so far because I've just started it up, but it's so much fun. It's so fun to help people plan their trip, like, and hear about what they're doing, and then it's so good to see them plan it and then go and do it, and then I love it, and I love helping and chatting to people about traveling. I think that's kind of why I started my TikTok in the first place, is literally to help people travel. I love traveling. I love talking about it. I'd love to help people, because I remember before I started it, someone, like a friend of a friend, DM'd me and was like, please, can you help me? Like, I have no idea where to start. I know you've traveled. And I sent her so much info, and I just loved it, because I know that that's what I would have wanted, when I started my first trip. And now I'm planning my and now I'm planning my Central America trip. I'm kind of like, I know what to expect with solo travel and hostels, but I've never been to Central America, and so hearing people's ideas about routes and things, I can kind of apply that to my knowledge of what I like doing, where I want to go, what I've heard, and it all comes together. But like, especially for that first trip, it can be so daunting and not knowing where to start, that like I was like,
exactly,
I just want people to be able to like set aside a time for me to actually sit down and help people. And obviously I'm not an official travel expert or anything, but I know that I've got a lot of lived experience, especially now I'm 23. I've done a lot of backpacking in like several different continents, and I'm still going. And so if anyone wants a travel call, give me a DM. If you've got any questions, links in my bio if you follow me. But yeah, it's really exciting. I love it. I loved it. I love doing these calls. So
yeah, I think we have a shared passion. I've realized that I do this with my friends that haven't traveled. Like one of my friends, he was like, yeah, like I really want to travel. He's talking about like, having interest in like literature and like medieval stuff. And I'm like, dude, you've never been to Europe? Like, you're going to love like the castles, the Gothic stuff. And he's like, yeah, I guess. And I was like, okay, I'm now going to bully you into traveling to Europe. Like,
Yeah, you have to. If you love all that medieval stuff, like there's so much to see. I wouldn't even know where to start. Like that's
it's like
insane.
in Canada. In Canada, for example, we were like, "Oh my god, that place is so old, man! It's like 60 years old." You're like, dude, this is from like the 957.
What the hell? Oh my god! Literally, like it baffles me sometimes though how old some things are. Like even my mum's she like does a bit of like tour guiding around London, or she's just started it, and she was telling me facts about the Tower of London, about like how it's like 1,000 years old, how they used to have polar bears swimming like in the moat that was from the Thames. Yeah, so like in like the 1600s, or it might have been before that. This is really we've gone on a tangent, but it's such an interesting
Fuck
fact.
yeah.
She was telling me yesterday, I was like, what? So essentially, one of the kings loved like exotic animals, and they'd never seen, like, they got in like elephants, polar bears, lions, and they didn't know how to look after them. So this elephant lived in like a house, and because it was such a big creature, they thought it was a carnivore, so they fed it meat. And then unfortunately so it died within 2 years, which is like, I'm surprised it lived that long, to be fair. But there was a lion which you could come and pay to see, or instead of paying, you could bring a cat or a dog for the lion to eat as payment. Yeah. Like, what? And then they had a polar bear that they just used to, like, there was a moat that used to go around the Tower of London from the Thames, and it had fish in it, and they just used to let the polar bear just swim around it and catch fish. Like, that, like, it's insane. But there's so much history, and like, yeah.
Fuck.
But can you imagine? Oh my god. Yeah.
For those who don't know, polar bears are, as a Canadian, I feel I can speak to this. I feel like if we had a Russian maybe on it, we're equally as well versed. But polar bears, the most dangerous of the bears, by far.
Are they actually? I didn't know they were the most dangerous.
Oh yeah, yeah. Black bears, you can scare them away by fighting. If it's a male, you might not get that bad of a reaction. If it's a female with cubs, fight for your life. If it's a grizzly, lay dead.
Oh my god.
And it won't fuck with you. And then polar bears essentially try to survive. God. So that was just chilling in fucking London.
Yeah, it was just vibing.
On the tube.
Imagine, just gets lost. Just on my way, don't mind me. Like, it's insane. I just cannot imagine like a polar bear just wandering around the Tower of London. Like, I've walked around where it would have swam, which is actually insane. But
I need to look. I need to read more about this. That's fucking insane.
Honestly, that
I
like, apparently there's some guards have claimed to have seen like a ghost of a bear as well, because there was like a brown bear or a grizzly bear that used to be there. So I don't even. But there's so much history to it. Like, it's like insane. You could look at like a square in London and be like, there are 100 different things that happened in that tiny little square in London. I don't know. It's just the history's insane. So it is interesting.
Fucking crazy,
like,
man.
It's so funny though. But yeah, it's mental.
I want to chat about the country that escaped me because I didn't have enough time to go visit it. We had kind of an entry plan to go and see Albania for a few days, and then the uncertainty of Eastern Europe and catching our return flight back to Canada kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your experience in Albania. Where did you go? What were the highlights? What was it like?
Oh my god. So Albania.
Do you still have your 2 kidneys?
I do. You know what? And I'm alive. And you know what? I felt so safe the entire time. Like, genuinely, because I didn't know what to expect. I was like, I think because I'd heard about it from another creator, Mika. She'd done a load of videos on it, and I was like, like, that looks insane. Like, that looks unreal. And I told my friends at first I was thinking of going to Albania, and they were like, what? Like, are you serious? Why would anyone go there? And I'm telling you, like, it is literally, I think it is the most underrated country I've ever been to by far. So I ended up doing 3 weeks, and one of the girls from Montenegro came with me, and she was great. I was a bit worried that, when if you're traveling solo and then someone like jumps on, it can be a bit like, Like, are they going to be a bit more like, well, I want to do this, and no, I don't think, you know, like kind of like hindering the solo travel experience. But she bought nothing but vibes. Like, she was so happy to do whatever and just bought like good vibes. She'd be like, yeah, woo! Like, she was great. Honestly, she was so up for anything. So when I told her there's this semi-famous hike that is in the north, and I was like, I want to do this hike, especially because it was like early October at this point and it was getting colder. I was like, no, I want to go and do this hike. This looks incredible. And it's a 1-day hike, and you stay for a couple of nights either side, and it is so stunning. I had no idea that Eastern Europe looked like this. Like this, it's the Valbona to Teth hike, and it's just got the most amazing views. And it's one of those hikes that's going to become like discovered in the future, and it's going to get so busy. So I'm so thankful to do it when I did. And I did it in autumn as well. So like in fall, all the leaves were orange and they were falling. It was just, I'm sorry.
Is that your American accent?
Yeah, like I did it in fall. It was amazing. It was incredible. Is it any good? Is it a good accent?
It's really good. Yeah. It's better than my British.
Gosh,
Hello, governor.
oh, that's awful, Phil. That's awful. Just don't try that again. That was
No.
Hello, governor.
No, I can't.
You're British, innit? That's what it sounds like.
I watched Peaky Blinders.
Are you from the Peaky Blinders? All right, mate. I'm British. I'll have a cup of tea. Oh God. Okay, we're gonna stop with the accents. I'm gonna try and not say it. I'm just gonna do someone injustice. Oh my God. Anyway, this hike was incredible. So I did it for a day, and I cannot recommend it enough. The hostel is that you stay in that organises it. So like they say that you can stay in 2 different hostels in Skoda, which is like this town right in the north, and it only took a couple of hours to get from the border in Montenegro to there. Like, it was chill. This hostel, I stayed in the Wanderers hostel, and oh my God, it was so. I arrived, and Montenegro was like, it's not as expensive as like Western Europe, but it was still a little pricier than I don't know how you found it.
It's on the euro.
Yeah, and I guess if it's
it was cheaper than Croatia. But
yeah, but because it's on the euro, it's like not super cheap. So I got to Albania, and then suddenly everything was so much cheaper. This hostel was doing cocktails for €2.50 or the equivalent in lek, and they did free raki shots, which is like the local spirit. Yeah.
Fuck.
I know.
That's dangerous.
So dangerous. We had to be up at 6 a.m. for the hike, right? And we were there, and the staff are just bringing around these shots, and they're like, we're gonna do them together. Yeah, cheers. And I was like, I need to go to bed. I'm not going to do this hike. But
everyone's going to vomit on the mountain now.
I know. And it was so funny. You know what? I felt so sensible because I was like, I had some shots. I had a couple of cocktails, and I was like, no, I'm going to save this for when we come back. So I went to bed at like 1, which I still think, you know, for getting up at 6, it's
respectable.
It's respectable. But Fernanda, the girl that I was traveling with from Mexico, she stayed up. I mean, she was 18 and had more. I sound like an old woman. I'm only 23, but she had more energy than I did. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to bed. And she was still drunk at 6 a.m. in the morning. She was like, let's do this hike. Yeah. And then she was asleep like an hour.
More raki shots.
I was like, yeah, literally, I was like, how much have you had? But, yeah, because you don't actually do the hike on the first day. It's a lot of traveling, and you go on this boat and stuff. But
which I'm sure she was feeling great throughout the whole. It must have been. It's paved roads both ways.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. I was like, no, it is. But she was a bit fragile. But anyway, this hike incredible, and we got back, and there were a load of Finnish boys that did that hike, and we came back and we celebrated finishing the hike, and we did all these raki shots, and it's free, right? But we did so many that the staff were like, no, you actually can't have any more. Like, we've gone through an insane amount of raki. Like, you actually can't. You've had the entire lot. And I didn't even have them.
That's the most British thing I've ever
I
heard.
know. And it was, honestly, someone said to me the Finnish drink as well. And I was like, really? They do. Oh my God. They
fucking drink a shit ton.
These Finnish guys were like, they just like were knocking them back even more than I was. And I was like, you know what, fair enough. And they just went at it. So I was like, I'm happy not having any more because it was like cheap. But anyway, that was just the north. Incredible fun. Definitely recommend. And then the rest of the country is just like unreal. So the capital, Tirana, has so much history. I definitely recommend doing a walking tour if anyone goes, like, because you walk around and obviously the what am I trying to say? The communist regime, the era was so recent, and the country's only just opened up. So the history is just everywhere. And it's a cool city. It's got some like cool nightlife that's like up and coming. So although they're a bit like, if you've got too many guys in the group, you're not going to get in anywhere. So we left with a hostel group, and there were a lot more. I found there were a lot more guys that were traveling Albania than girls. So we had a bit of trouble getting in somewhere, but especially from the.
It's good to know for people listening.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if you're in a large group and there's a lot of guys, try and get the guys to like split off and at least go like guy girl if you can, because I think we
grab a wig if you
grab
can.
a wig. Yeah, you'll be fine. But yeah, so it's good to know, because literally when we came back to the capital at another point, we went out with the hostel and it was a big mix of us, so it was fine. But the shots in this hostel were so expensive, and I was like, I just want a cheap raki shot. And then I said to like one of the guys that I'd been traveling with, oh, do you want to come get a shot? Like, and he was like, no, you can run across the road and get one. I won't be let back in. And I was like, damn. I was like, shit, true. So I just like tapped this girl. I was like, do you want to come find a cheap shot? She was well up for it. So we ended up running around this like little square like of bars, being like how cheap's your raki shots? How cheap? And then it was a bit dodgy. It was a bit dodgy. We probably should. I don't recommend doing this, but they were like trying to charge ridiculous money for these shots that cost like nothing. We were like, we're not paying that. And then this guy goes, yes, I've got some. Let me take you into my restaurant. So he leads us down to this basement restaurant that is shut.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was hoping you were going to say. A fucking basement?
It wasn't even open. He had like unlocked this restaurant in this basement.
Oh.
And then he gave us free shots. And then I think this other guy like gave him some money. And I think these guys were hoping we talked to them. But we just kind of like, spoke to the guy that owned the restaurant. Like, and we were like, oh, like, we love Albania. Yeah. And then these guys like were waiting outside. I think were trying to be like, wanted to talk to us after. And we just went, thanks, bye. And then, yeah, because I kind of realised I was a bit like, I was like, we should probably go back. It was fun. I didn't get any negative vibes really, but like you have to be careful. So just a reminder to anyone that travels, don't make these mistakes, because stuff goes so wrong when you're drunk. So you have to be so careful.
It unfortunately is a bit of a different experience if you're a guy or a girl.
Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, it definitely can be. Like, I think there's a lot of countries where you will get a different experience if you're a guy. Like, even I've watched like some travel vlogs, and like I've watched like some of Drew Binsky's vlogs and stuff. And like I think off the top of my head, he was like in Pakistan or something, and like he's walking down the road, and the locals are so friendly to him, and they're like, yes, like come chat to me, like, let me show you around. They invite him, like innocently, like invite him to dinner around the house, and it's a very different sort of thing if you're a woman. You probably wouldn't get approached innocently and invited around to dinner by a man. I might be wrong.
No, not in those countries.
Like no, I don't want to make a sweeping statement, but just like in general, like especially as a woman, if I got asked by a random man in the street in a country that I wasn't very familiar with to come to his house, like light bulbs, like red sirens going, like that's gonna be a no. Yeah, especially if I was by myself. I think
even more if some guy's giving you free raki in the bottom of his basement.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is what I mean. Like, I feel like I know I tell stories on here. Please don't do these things. These are terrible ideas. But I feel like I'm telling the real stories on this podcast. You get the real tea. I don't.
It's the real shit from the fucking hostel, man.
Oh, just you wait, guys. Just you wait for my story. Anyway, so Tirana was great. And then we actually ended up meeting. So at this point, I was traveling with Fernando, the guy from Mexico, and then this guy that we'd met on the hike, who was British. And we met these two guys while we were out from the hostel. And they were like, oh, we're only here for a week. And they'd both done like backpacking themselves. And they were like, we're just here for a week. We're like best mates. We've been friends for years. We're going to hire a car and do like a week-long road trip. Do you guys fancy?
For North Americans, that means rent.
Rent a road trip.
Rent a car.
Why? Hire a car. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, we're going to rent a car. I was in Albania in fall, and we rented a car. And it was crazy, you guys. Like, oh my God.
Sorry. My God.
I could do this whole podcast in an American accent if you want. Like, it could be really fun.
Okay, Can you do Texan?
I don't know, sweetie. I don't know. I can't do that. I'm from Texas. I'm so sorry to anybody I've offended out there. Oh my goodness. I'm really sorry. Are you okay? Phil, are you good? Oh my God.
Yeah, I just choked on my own spit when I was laughing there. Oh, fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've just probably insulted like half
Jeez.
the US. I'm really sorry, anyone listening.
I think it's flattering.
I like doing American accents. I've met so many Americans that are like, oh, we do a British accent sometimes for fun, and I'm like, yeah, like I do the same with American or Australian or anything, so it's fine. I do like, yeah, I do any accent, but sometimes I'll just do like British, but like someone that's American trying to be British, like I'll just start talking to me like, oh, I don't,
Like
yeah,
me?
like you, I'll be like, I don't know, mate. Oh, we might be over there, isn't it? And like, I don't know why I do that. Like, I just don't know. But we'll go with it.
See, I hear that and I'm like, oh, that's
No,
good.
that's not good. It's the Queen's English. But,
The Queen's English. Lucy, there's a part of Albania that I was looking up to do, or I wanted to go to, and I didn't. Like I said, I didn't get to go. It was a bit of a discovery for me. It was the realization that there's everybody knows the French Riviera, but we don't necessarily know the Albanian Riviera, which I think that you got a chance to go to. What was that like?
Beautiful. So like, I mean, I feel like Albania has like a bit of everything. So you've got like the mountains, you have crystal blue water and beaches, like the sea is incredible, and then you have the Riviera. So like, I went to Berat, which is they have some really old towns, like hundreds and hundreds of years old. And Berat is, I think it's UNESCO. I think that I might be wrong in saying the whole town's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but don't quote me on that. But the river runs through, and it's just incredible because this town has just got so much character, and the river and the mountains are just everywhere. And I just it's just hard to look at it and really think where you are, because you just don't see pictures of Albania often, and you just don't realize how it looks. And I think there's so much of Albania that, I mean, for example, I was there in low season, and say you got a villa in Greece in summer in Corfu, overlooking the sea, overlooking your sunset, and this Airbnb, right? That would cost like a lot of money, right, for however long. We were there. This was obviously low season, but we managed to get this on this road trip that we did. We managed to get this Airbnb for, I think it was like €15 a night each, and in those €15 we had like the biggest Airbnb with this huge balcony that overlooked the sunset, overlooked Corfu in Greece. Like, Greece was literally like right there. It had the best view, double beds, several bathrooms, huge kitchen, like anything you want, and it was €15 a night each. It was like incredible.
Where you'd add like a 1 or a 2 in front of the €15
Yeah,
for
right.
Corfu,
Right. I was literally
right?
looking. I was like, I can see Corfu, and if I was staying there, I wouldn't have the view of the sun. Like, we were exactly facing west, so I just sat there and looked straight, and the sun was just going down over the sea. It was incredible, and stuff like that is so underrated. And I think I went all over. I went to like Gjirokastër, which is another old Ottoman town. And there's just cobbled streets everywhere, colourful like vendors selling all these different things. There's like a castle at the top. It's just there's so much like untouched history that you can just see like right there, and it's not all hidden behind glass and things. And it's just like, I thought it was just incredible. And I mean, I went to so many places. I'm trying to think, and by the end of it, I'd been everywhere I wanted to go, and we ended up going to this beach town. I say beach town, it's on the coast, but it's just outside of Tirana, and it's called Durrës. I mean, it was fine. Like, there's not really loads to do there. I wouldn't massively recommend seeing it unless you got like loads of time and just want to go. But we went to the beach, and this beach was literally covered, because there's thousands of bunkers all over the country, and this whole beach had just exploded bunkers everywhere. So like, you could just sort of lounge, and you were on this exploded bunker that was like had been blown up from years and years ago. Like, it's perfectly safe. Like, it's so fine, but it's so weird because it's so recent, all of this. And I like, yeah, and like, you hear on walking tours and stuff, because the whole country was shut. the country opened up all at once, and they were introduced to things like bananas, Coca-Cola, like TV channels, and I think bananas came first. And the tour guide said that I think his dad or something was so intrigued by bananas, but he thought everything was so new all at once. He called everything a banana. So he asked his son to go get him a red banana from the shop, and he meant a Coca-Cola, but because it was new, everything was a banana.
Because he thought banana was like something new
Yeah,
to
like,
the
so
country.
banana was new, so like everything was so new at once. Bananas were new to the country, so he was calling Coca-Cola the red banana, because banana was just, there were so many new things. Like, how it's so weird to like think about, but when the country just opened, yeah, it's so mind-blowing. But like, yeah, it just, I mean, the history is incredible, and there's just I mean, our car did break down going up a big hill every time we went up a big hill. So at one point we were like in the middle of these mountains, and like we had to get out and push the car, and then the car, like the guy just drove off like a mile up the road, so we had to like hike in the sun, in the heat, in the middle of nowhere up this hill. And apparently there were like wolves around the area. I didn't see any, but we learned that afterwards, and I was like, we were just walking in this like in the middle of the woods while this car goes around. Anyway, it just every time it stopped and went up a big hill, we had to take our bags out and walk. But it was still a good car. We had a great road trip for a week. But yeah, it was definitely interesting, and I think the whole country is quite new to be backpacks and travelled in, especially with hostels. There's like one hostel there's a few hostels in each place, but there's one that everyone stays at. So everyone stays at the same one. So I guess that's going to lead me soon into my story.
Yeah, I think I need to preface this a little bit, because hostels are amazing places to go. You have maybe an idea of what a hostel is, but I've honestly stayed in nicer hostels across the world than I've stayed in hotels. So like, even if I pay, 200 euros for a hotel, still stayed at nicer hostels.
Yeah, especially,
which is a fucking fraction of the price. But sometimes you have some interesting experiences at hostels, and I think that you have one that happened in Albania, right?
So yeah, I completely agree. Some of the hostels, especially in Asia, are like incredible. Southeast Asia, for example, has hostels where you've got like a pool, a double bed, curtains, like the cleanest rooms, like, and it's like $6 a night or whatever. Like, it's insane. But yeah, so the hostels in Albania, like, I hadn't really had a problem. They're not really fancy, but they were like absolutely fine. Some of them were a bit nicer than others, but none of them were like, oh, this is not sure about this. Like, all had everything you could possibly want, and we got to this hostel in Berat, and Berat is the town that's on the Albanian Riviera, kind of it's by the river, not necessarily like I don't know, it's a Riviera. This sounds really nice. It's a Riviera of the beach, the coast. Yeah, that's what I mean, the coast. Yeah. So not on the Riviera, but the Riviera is like, because I know you said about it earlier, like the whole coast is stunning.
Yeah. Like, I think it's like Casamil, like that region.
Casamil, incredible. It's one of those places that isn't really accessible by public transport. So if you go to Albania, definitely hire a car, preferably one that can make it up a hill. But get a car, get a good horse.
Get a good horse.
In Casamil, we were on this beach and it was empty because it was low season. And this guy in his boat just pulled up and he just tours, and he was like, if you pay me €5, I'll take you to sunset on this, like, the island over there. So it's exactly,
beautiful,
it's insane.
that area.
So we literally paid him, and he took us to this abandoned little island. We stayed there for sunset. We were like diving into the water. It was incredible. So the whole Riviera is like, it's just beautiful, because it is literally the same sea as Croatia and Montenegro. Like, it's the same blue water. You just have it for cheaper. Like, it's insane. More people need to go there and kind of realize, like, it's literally the same as Croatia and Montenegro geographically. Like, yeah, it's just, anyway. But getting back to the hostels, I'm jumping around, but we're going to get to this story. Okay, so we're in Berat, and we are in the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and this hostel is like, it used to be a registered building. There's not a lot they can do to change it. So I was expecting it to be sort of like an old rustic kind of style hostel, which is what it was. But like, I don't know, we get there and it's like this big hill, and it's just a bit awkward. And it's by October, it was still warm, but it wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't warm enough to have the whole hostel kind of open. It's a very open hostel. Like, there's not necessarily like this corridor is kind of half open into the air, and the dorms are fine, but I don't know. So we stayed in this hostel, and where to start? So me and Fernanda chose a 6-bed dorm, and we ended up staying with these 4 guys that were from they're from Israel. And they came in and they were all together. And it's always a bit awkward. I don't know if you've ever stayed in a hostel where, like, there's been a friend group in the dorm and, like, you're, like, the only person. Yeah, that can always be a little bit awkward because you kind of feel like you're in their space, even though you're not. So it was fine, but they were fine. But anyway, so later on that evening, we went down into the bottom of the hostel to sort of, like, see if we were going to socialise, and there was no one really there. And except these guys that were in our dorm. So we went and sat with them, and they were playing a drinking game. And we really weren't feeling up to drinking that night. Because, like, with backpacking culture, there can often be, like, a lot of drinking. So that one particular...
Yeah. I mean, it's after a while, it gets like, maybe a bit old.
I think we'd been drinking the night before. And as well, like, it's expensive sometimes. So we were like, just wanted a chill night. So we just went down to, like, socialise and chat. But they were playing a drinking game. So we sat with them. We joined in, but we just went drinking. And I think we had to tell them about, like, 6 or 7 times that we weren't drinking. And every time, like, we were playing, they'd be like, oh, you've got a drink. And we'd be like, oh, no, like we just wanted to come socialise. We're not drinking. And they kept trying to force us to drink. And then this one guy's like, oh, we're going to play this game called Too Personal. And I'm like, right. And he goes, you have to tell us something really personal about yourself. And we'll judge if it's personal enough. And if it's not, you have to drink and tell us another one. And I was like, that's a weird game to play with someone you've just met. Like, the way that they phrased it just wasn't like... Because I'm all up for, like, outing people, funny drinking games. Like, I'm all up for that when you're at a hostel meeting people. But essentially, I found out later he played this game with another girl, and he just wanted her to tell, like, explicit stuff about herself. Like... Yeah, so he gave us, like, creepy vibes. Anyway, so we like, left it. We were like, oh, let's just go to bed. Because this guy as well, we'd actually seen him in a town a few days before, with his, like, in the middle of this town in Albania, with his socks off, and he was playing a pipe. He was playing, like, a recorder. He was playing the Titanic, and I don't know if you've heard that TikTok. I don't know if you've heard that TikTok sound that is the Titanic on a recorder, and it's like,
yeah. The fucked up one.
He was playing that, and I'm just.
He's the one behind the sound. The sound.
This is what's funny, right? Is he was playing that, and we were like, "Whoa! Like, that's so random. Like, do you think it's Albanian?" And I think I don't know, he wasn't, and he wasn't a local. Like, imagine just going somewhere that you're not from, taking your shoes and socks off, and sitting there, because it's not even like it was a beach town. It was like in the mountains, and he just had his toes out in the square playing the Titanic really badly, and it was just like, okay, interesting. And then later on, when we saw him in our room, we were like, "Oh, you were the Pied Piper," and he was like, yeah. And look, I was actually watching a TikTok in my room, and I got up the sound of the I purposely got up the sound of the Titanic, and I played it to him, and I was like, and he went, oh, is that me? I went, no, that's the TikTok that you sound like. I was like, that's so the fact he's even aware of it. Anyway, so gone on a tangent, but we went to bed after this night, and they carried on playing drinking games, and I think because they have this wine tasting that you can do in Barat. And if you're in Barat, I so recommend doing it. It is so much fun. Like, I thought it's not just wine tasting, they get you playing, like, Albanian games, traditions, as a must do if you're in Barat, right? And anyway, some people came back from the wine tasting, so I think they carried on drinking downstairs, whatever. I went to bed. And then the next morning, I had a TikTok go viral of this hostel's breakfast, because the whole breakfast, you might have seen it, was covered in wasps. Like,
well, then you use that fucking sound.
Yes, I did use that sound. I absolutely did. And, like, because it kind of just was a theme for the whole hostel, right? So and it wasn't even like there's a few wasps. Like, they were just covered everything. Like, it was so unappetizing. And luckily we had food in a bag that was, and we had some bread, some eggs, some tomatoes, and I was like, oh, I'll just make, like, an omelette, because we've got our own food that we can use. I don't really want to touch that. Like, it has all these bugs all over it, like swarms of bugs all over it, not just a few. Anyway, I go to make my breakfast. I open my food bag, and there's a used condom on top of my bread in my bag. I know that was not there before. It was so bad. And we're just like in disbelief because I'm sharing this food bag with the 2 people I'm traveling with, and I'm just like, what? And then I went outside to try and find a staff member to be like, what do I do? Like, what the hell? And then they're like, oh, is yours the red food bag? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah, someone said that guy put a used condom in it. Ha, ha, ha. And then the staff start laughing at me. I'm like, what do you mean? Ha, ha, ha. Like, that is so bad. I was like, you can't just dispose of that on top of someone's bread and eggs. Like, I didn't want seeded bread. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted a plain loaf, and my bread had more seeds in it than it did before, but I was disgusted.
My thinking is like, who has sex, finishes, and then is like, let me go to the fridge.
You know what? I mean, to be fair, it wasn't in the
What?
fridge, but it was next to all the food. It was with everybody's food. They had like this cart that had everyone's food that like was in the hostel, and you put it in a bag or whatever, put your name on it. That's where it was. It was with the food. It wasn't even like, so essentially what it was the guy, the Pied Piper, and he had apparently had sex in a bathroom next to the kitchen, and then just like put it in the first plastic bag he saw. And he said he thought it was the trash. But I told the people I was traveling with, and I was like we found out about it through the staff, and we were like, where is he? What are you going to do about it? And they were just laughing, and we're like, it's not really funny, is it? Like, this is your breakfast is inedible. Now ours is.
Man, what happens if I ate this shit?
I'm sorry. Yeah. And, no, and it was just such. It was horrible. And oh my god. So we were. I think we were just a bit tired. We were just hungry, and then the staff didn't give a shit. Our food was. We weren't touching. We had a lot of food in there. We weren't touching anything, so we were fuming. So we went off and we tried to find him, but he'd like gone somewhere for the day, and we were like, oh, for God's sake. So we went to our walking tour, went through our day, and then like later on we got back to the hostel, and he still wasn't there. We got handed a note, and it was like a handwritten letter from. You know what? Fair play. He apologised, but I was still pissed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd still rather not have a used condom in my food bag. And it was you know what? Fair play. He replaced the stuff, but that's not the point. You know, it's a bit questionable. I mean, you know, like, fair play, it could have been a lot worse. Like, we could have not realised. 2, he could have just not given a shit and not replaced it. So like. Fair play, he replaced it, but it's still one of the wackiest things, the weirdest, disgusting things that has happened to me in a hostel. Like, I mean, I don't think he did it maliciously, but it's just still really stupid.
But it's
a good story.
Make sure it's a fuck. Hey, who knows? Maybe that's like how Israelis like serenade women.
It's like
They're
a gift. I don't know. Like, I was a bit confused. I was like, what? But yeah, so we had a handwritten letter, which was funny. He apologised, and it was fine. It was fine. But then later on, like, we ran into him again in Tirana, the capital, and then we walked into the hostel, and he was sat in the garden with a load of like new people, and like, kind of jokingly, kind of not, we went, oh no, it's you, and then him and all his, and we were like, oh no, not you, and then everyone was like all these new people are like, what's going on here? And then we're like,
do we have a fucking story for you?
And what's worse, him and his mates start laughing, like, oh yeah, it's quite funny actually. And we were like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And then it's like, is it funny? And they're like, yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? It's like, what? No, I'm still not well, it's funny now. Like, it's really funny now. But you know what? I was a bit pissed off about my bread.
Right.
And then we told people the story, and they were like, what the? Yeah, you know, it's fine. Like, it's not. It was no like bad, be funny thing, or like. But it was just what a story to tell. Like,
yeah,
no,
that doesn't happen every single day. But Lucy, what do you say? What do we say we get to the top 5?
Let's do it.
All right, so folks, since we're so close to Valentine's Day, we are going to give you our top 5 best excuses to break up with your significant other. Listeners will be able to vote on the 2 Beers Till Takeoff Instagram page for who you think has the best top 5. So, Lucy, as the guest, I'm giving you first dibs to go first.
Listen, Phil, it's been great arriving to this destination with you, right? I'm really excited to go on this holiday, but look, I know the plane just landed, but I think we're gonna have to end things because you started clapping when the plane landed, and I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna get a flight back. Like, you can just do this vacation by yourself. I can't. It's too much.
Yeah, that's fair. That's it's tough luck. I'd break up with myself if I fucking did that too. So Lucy, just the way this works, so you go first, I go second, third, then you go third, fourth. It's like a snake.
Yeah, so
snake
you do.
draft.
Yeah.
Make sense? Okay. So you did actually steal one. That was actually going to be my first one too. That's a big fucking faux pas. Don't do that, folks. Or do it if you want to be hilarious.
How embarrassing.
So Lucy, listen, we are done because you took your socks off in the airplane.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's quite a bad one. That's so bad. Put your trotters away. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what? That's fair. I would also leave if you did that too. So I can see why that would have upset you. It's fine.
Yeah. My next one here is it's going to be an answer. It's going to be a reason why we should break up, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a story too. So Lucy, listen, we can't continue on like this.
What?
I want to break up because, well, you wear a money belt when you travel.
But I keep our money safe. I can't believe this.
Yeah, listen, I have to tell you a story that happened. I went to France as when I was a student in university. There was a course that was available, and it was like a travel study. So what a travel study is basically you do 2 courses, but you do them in another country. So yeah, so we had like I think it was like a literature course and a French course. Anyway, so I did that, except that the professor right from the beginning didn't like me.
Right.
He was a bit of a tight ass, and he kept scaring people off from like going out at night. And I was like, dude, you think I came here to fucking study? I'm sorry, dude.
No one does a semester abroad to study. No one does a year abroad to study. What?
Anyway, so we're in Paris. One of my friends, Sid, who's a common guest on the show, comes. He met me in Paris, and anyways, so the professor, he'd always be like, you have to have your money belt on you. You need to have your passport in there because you need your passport at all times because you never know what can happen. It's dangerous. Paris is dangerous. You need to be careful. I was like, man, like, I'm sorry. I've been to Europe. Like, it's not that fucking dangerous. Like, chill. Anyway, so one night, me and my buddy Sid, we go out because one of our mutual friends that we met in Malta he's from Paris. And he was having his graduation night. He's a dentist, so we went out with a bunch of dentists on their graduation night. And so we go to their place, we pregame a little bit, and you know, for the North Americans that don't know, like you can drink in public. So like we're walking to the club afterwards, and we're drinking our bottles of wine or whatever. And so we're a group of guys, and one of the guys sees a cop car go by, decides to throw his bottle of wine at the cop car and yell "Assassin de la police," which means cop killer. It's like a rap song. And so bottle smashes, cop car stops, 3 cops get out, two male cops and a female cop, and they throw us all onto the wall. So I'm now like, fuck, I don't have my passport.
The one time you got out without it.
I'm like that fucking tight ass professor is gonna have to fucking come and bail me out of jail because of this fucking asshole who threw a wine bottle at a cop. Anyways, so they're searching us and shit, and they're asking for our IDs. My buddy So like I said, there's 2 male cops that are searching us, and there's kind of a female cop that's supervising behind. My buddy's like, can the female cop search me? And I'm like, Sid, shut the fuck up.
No.
Shut the fuck up. I don't want to go to jail.
Are you serious?
So anyways, it's my turn to show the cop my ID, right? They all show their French cards or whatever, and I show my driver's license from Canada, and guy looks at it, he's like, yep, okay, cool. And so luckily nothing happened bad, but I was just like, holy fuck, man, that could have turned so bad.
That's so bad. Oh my god. I can't.
Yeah.
Why does he throw a bottle at a police car? What is he thinking?
French guys are crazy, man. French guys are crazy. We had a good night, except for that moment. Yeah. So Lucy, what's your number 2?
Okay. Right. Well, we it was great seeing you, right? But I'm sorry. There's just one thing that just, I know you've got to eat, and we've gone to a family barbecue at my parents', right? And I think it's really nice you came along, and I'm really sorry that there wasn't enough room at the table for you to eat, because it's a big party. But just the way you were sat on that garden chair with the plate on your laps and your knees squished together to eat your food, I just can't do it. I can't look at it. I couldn't do it. It just gave me the ick. I can't. I've had enough. The way you're sat with your little knife and fork, I'm just gonna have to end things. Seeing you like that just made me realise how unattractive.
Okay. You saw how bad my back posture was?
Just eating with your knees squished together.
I was eating soup.
Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah. This is why we didn't serve soup, but it's fine. And it's me again, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Phil, I've had enough. We've gone travelling. We've gone somewhere new to try these exotic foods, these amazing places, and all you want to eat is chicken and chips and nothing else. You don't like spicy foods. You don't like textures of food. You don't eat anything. You're such a fussy eater. You will eat chicken and chips in Thailand, and I just can't. It's embarrassing. And I'm gonna have to end it.
Yeah, I'm a fucking child. I only eat chicken nuggets.
It's embarrassing. It's childish. It's childish. I'm sorry. It's too much.
No, that's a good one. I considered putting that one, because I mean, doesn't that just ruin it? Be like, let's go to this like authentic place. You're like, no, let's go to McDonald's.
It's like, no.
And I'm not shitting on McDonald's abroad, because McDonald's abroad is cool because you do get a different experience every place you go, and sometimes you do need that like familiar meal.
Yeah, and it's cool to try out the different things, but like not every night.
Yeah, if you're just eating McDonald's, just give your head a shake. All right, so for my number 4, hold on, I'm on number 3. So Lucy, for this one, can you pretend to be from the US?
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Yeah, no problem. What's up, Phil? I heard you wanted to talk. Like, what's wrong?
Listen, Lucy, we need to talk.
Oh my god, why?
I think we should break up.
Why?
Because when we're in hostels and people ask you where you're from, you say the city and not the country.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding?
I'm from Tallahassee. I'm from America. Hate to break it to you, but America is 2 continents.
You're kidding? What? Oh my god.
Shout out to the Americans that do that.
I love that. I wouldn't even have thought of that. I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? What does that mean? I feel like the British equivalent of that is like people saying that they're from London when they're like from the outskirts, which one of my friends fights me on this like profusely. She goes, you're not from London. I am from London because technically I live in Greater London. It's on the outskirts, but it counts. We have red buses. We're still on the London train lines. I don't want to hear it. We're London Borough, but that's probably the equivalent.
Yeah. Listen, I'm fine. I'm fine with it if it's a big city. I'm not shitting on the people saying New York, Chicago, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But if you're saying fucking Tallahassee, you can kiss my ass.
It's like, come on. Oh dear. Is it me? Is it me?
It is. Hold on. You took my first one and it's fucked me up here.
I'm so sorry. I know I've got my list here.
Yeah, so I did I did 2, 3. You did 3, 4. Now I'm 5, 6. So, Lucy, listen, we need to break up. Reason being is because you tell everybody that you've seen the world, but you've only traveled to resorts.
What? Are you kidding?
That's a fucking shit one. Oh, that's gross if you do that.
That is bad. That is bad to me. I was thinking that as well. It's like when people are like, oh yeah, I've travelled to like this country, and I'm like, oh, did you go here? Did you go here? And they went, oh no, I like just stayed in the hotel. I'm like, well, you didn't really go to it then, did you? Oh.
No, you stayed in a fucking condensed like terrarium.
Yeah, you didn't leave. Like, so you've not really been there. You might as well stay in the airport. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah, that's I mean, to be fair, that's gonna be me when I have a 5-hour layover in Canada, right? So I'll get like an hour to stop in Canada. But you bet I've got a scratch map. You bet that Canada's getting scratched off that map. You bet.
Fuck yeah.
But listen, it's been great chatting with you, Phil. But I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to end things. Like, I know this relationship is developing and blossoming, but I have to cut it out. I have to stop it now before it gets too bad. And the reason for that is look, it's quite simple basically. When we were on this trip on holiday, and the instructor on the boat trip said, "Can anyone not swim?" You put your hand up. And you had to wear a life preserver on the boat and no one else was. And it was just embarrassing. And when we went to swim, you were swimming. You weren't even swimming. You were just floating and you couldn't swim. And everyone else went diving and you just floated there and it just gave me the ick. And I can't. It's too much. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, I know. I almost fucking drowned with a life jacket. I'm not a great swimmer.
There you go. And that's impressive. I don't even know how you do that. Why did you sign up to a boat trip if you can't swim? I know.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's a bit of an ick. Right. Is it your one?
It's your last one here.
What's my last one? Shall I do? Okay. Right. So I've got a choice between two, actually.
Well, do one, and then we'll do it on honorable mention because I have
we'll do
an extra one.
Honorable mention. Okay.
At the end, yeah.
So I'm really sorry, but it was great playing these drinking games at a hostel. It's great getting to know you, and I'm glad that we've been traveling together. But I just have to stop things now because when we played beer pong, the way you ran after the table tennis ball under the table just was too much for me. It was too ugly, and the way you chased it across the hostel, bending down and running, I saw it, and I just feel like I have to run from it. I just have to leave. It's not even that you're not athletic. You just couldn't even catch a ping pong ball. It was too bad. It's just too bad for me.
That's a common one in hostels. I feel that's a hard one. Listen, when you started with the drinking game one, I thought you said that I threw a condom in your food bag.
Oh yeah, no, that is pretty bad as well. I feel like that's up there. That one.
Oh, fam. All right, so to finish us off, listen, Lucy, we have to break up.
Why?
Because, well, you thought that Nepal was a body part.
What? That's such a good one. I love that. You mean it's not?
I was struggling for that fifth one, and I just literally went to the countries, and I was like, yeah, okay, well, let's make this one.
That works. It works. I love it. It works though.
Yeah, and listen, we had a couple. You got one of mine, threw me completely off, but we still have one honorable mention each, and so the ones that didn't make the cut, I had one here. So listen, Lucy, we have to break up. Because you thought that diversity was the state capital of Colorado.
What?
Diversity.
Oh.
Don't know if that's a dad joke.
That took me a minute to catch on. You can see my brain like wearing like diverse. Diversity.
It's a thinker. That's why I didn't make the top 5. Yeah.
Mine was more of just like an ick of you were on a bus, Phil. We were on a bus traveling together, and the bus was like stopping, and then when it stopped, you fell over on the bus, and you couldn't balance, and you kept sliding each way, and you couldn't hold on.
It's like a toddler.
Yeah, you just couldn't keep your balance on the bus. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're elderly or you could, but you're, as far as I know, you're quite normal, able-bodied, and you just couldn't stand up on the bus. So I've got to leave you on the bus. I've got to go. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
If that's what's best.
What's better?
I feel like I've been dumped 6 times.
You have.
All right. So to give a recap, here's Lucy's top 5. So Lucy had that I clap when the plane lands, that I'm a disgusting eater and I eat with my plate on my knees at the family barbecue. I'm a picky eater, that I almost died at the boat trip and had to wear a life jacket, and that I disgustingly run after ping pong balls after not sinking them at the hostel bar.
Yes.
Which is disgusting.
Which is poor.
And my top 5 was that you wear a money belt, you take your socks off on the plane, you're bad at geography.
What?
You're apparently a world traveler, but you only do resorts, and that you thought that Nepal was a body part.
The worst thing is, a couple of those actually sound like me. Like, what was your first one? The money belt. I've worn a money belt. I've worn a money belt.
See, I've actually tapped into some of your friends, and they're the ones who gave me these responses. No, I'm kidding.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. Wait, what? Yeah.
But anyways, listeners, so now we need you, the listeners, to vote on the To Be or Still Takeoff Instagram page for who you think that has the best top 5. So this will be out on Sunday. So check it out and pick your favorite. So Lucy, listen, before we let you go, what is next for you? You mentioned that you've got a couple trips planned. Where are you going, and what can we expect?
Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm actually heading back to Thailand for a month, and I'm basically doing a lot of South Thailand that I missed before. Like back in 2019 when I went, because I spent so long in Vietnam that I just didn't have time to do everything that I wanted to do. So I'm heading there, and then I've got a week. Actually, I'm really excited for this. A week in Indonesia, and I'm volunteering for a week with this language company. They teach English, and they get like a volunteer in from like an English speaking country or another country to come just like do a talk about themselves, about their culture, and like sort of provide a bit more insight into the English language for their pupils and stuff. So I'm really excited. I've got to do a presentation about myself and where I'm from and stuff. And then after that, I'm back for a week. And then I'm really excited to be heading somewhere like brand new, which is Central America. So I'm starting...
Hell
yeah. So I'm starting in Mexico, then I'm doing Guatemala, Belize, Nicaragua, and I'm finishing in Costa Rica before flying home. And I'm so excited. Like, I need to practice my Spanish though. That's my only thing.
That's one of the things that I didn't do much of Central America, but in South America, that's definitely one thing that I was like, oh fuck, like we were at the airport, they didn't speak English. I was like, shit. In the capital.
Oh my
Yikes.
gosh. Yeah, I feel like maybe that's definitely like my language privilege showing. I think the fact that like I would feel so weird if I went to an airport in a capital and they didn't speak English. I'd be like, what? But then that's me. I should learn languages, like, which I'm trying to. I can speak. My French is okay, but I chose French, not Spanish in school. So
yeah, it's not too different from French, I find, because like that's my first language, and like Spanish, there's some shit that I would just catch. Yeah, so like you'd have like amigos, ami, playa, plage, a few things that are somewhat similar. That there's a masculine, feminine.
Yeah,
so
that does help.
I think you'll survive. You'll
that's
survive.
What I mean. I'm like counting on my French to like help me try and work out what words are if I'm not sure. So
oui,
c'est bon.
So Lucy, can you remind the people where they can find you?
Absolutely. So you can find me. It's quite easy. My username's the same for Instagram and TikTok. My main channel is TikTok, which is @_ and then footluce, spelled like a foot and then loose, like Luce, which is my name. It's a play on footloose, like being free and traveling, and then loose is my nickname, so footloose. And then it's the exact same on Instagram as well. Give me a follow. I'm trying to start up my YouTube properly, but I suck at editing my YouTube videos. I just never get around to it. So once that's up and going, I will. I think it's footloose. Just just normally footloose without the underscore or anything. But yeah, give me a follow on TikTok and Instagram, and that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's been so much fun. I love it. I love coming on here. It's so much fun. Just every time there's a travel story. There's so many, and it's always a laugh. It's always good fun. So thank you so much for having me again.
Yeah, looking forward to the next one.
Me too.
All right, bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Two Beers Till Takeoff. Do you want free additional content or just to stay connected with the show? Then give us a follow on our social media platform. That means TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Are you in need of podcast production services, video editing, or anything in between? Then look no further than Strut Sound Productions, the official producer of the Two Beers Till Takeoff podcast. Music produced by Alex Gagne. Check out his work in our show notes. Voiceover done by Viking Leo K. See you next week on Two Beers Till Takeoff.